Watch Tusk with me. This movie Kevin Smith directed, he considers it a bit of a comeback for himself. The inspiration for this is honestly even more unsettling than the movie. Basically, someone wrote to, I think, his podcast and said that in the UK, a guy wanted someone to dress up as a walrus around his house for 2 hours at a time and just do walrus shit. He wanted this because he was once shipwrecked and there was a walrus involved in that somehow. And I don't like that. Not even a little. Anyway, we open to Wallace and his friend talking on his podcast. They are discussing a viral video where a kid maimed himself playing with his sword collection. And that does remind me of like very early YouTube where just the stupidest shit would go viral. Also, this movie was shot in 15 days. I have no idea why people do that. Anyway, Justin Long Wallace goes to Canada where he meets some, quirky people, and we see him skipping a call from his girlfriend, Allie. He treats her like complete shit throughout the movie, despite the fact that she is a sweetie. Anyway, so he goes to the kid's house and he finds that the kid killed himself with his own sword. Later, we see him at a pub and he's incredibly upset. Not because a teenage boy died, but because now he doesn't have any content. There is legitimately nothing redeemable about him. He is such a sack of shit. And, granted, he had to be for this to be a comedy. It would dampen the comedy if he was, even if he was a dick, but, you see some kind of humanity in him, it would still ruin it a bit. Also, I made this short, and I feel like I need to sew more patches on it. I wanted it to look like lipped up, but I feel like it doesn't suit me. Anyway, moving on. Later, he goes to pee, and he sees an ad posted literally on the wall, just like what happened in the UK. No, it isn't like what happened in the UK. In the UK, they did this on the internet. Anyway, basically, Mr. Howard Howe posted on the wall of this pub, if you come to my house, I will offer you lodging, and I have many stories to tell. On the way to the old man's house, which is north of, I believe, Manitoba, he stops into a convenience store where he is talking to two teenage girls. And one of them is Lily Rose Depp, and I think that the other one is the daughter of the director, but don't quote me on that one. Anyway, he is still a massive dick and so annoying. And also, they do this stupid accent where they say about instead of about. I've never heard a Canadian talk like that. I'm from Canada. I've spent my whole life in Canada. I've never heard anyone talk like that. And I've been to Manitoba. I haven't heard anyone talk like that there. I've heard that the Toronto accent is pretty bad, but I've the accent that Americans say Canadians have, I've never heard it. Maybe shut up, phone. Maybe it's just kind of faded out. Also, before you guess, I do not have an accent. I have a speech impediment. Very different. Anyway, he drives to Mr. Howe's house, and it is the middle of the night, so he is still a dick. He gets to this beautiful mansion, and he just walks on in, which this is Canada, but you're still gonna get your ass beat. We're not as nice as people say. Well, we're really not. Anyway, he comes in, and Mr. Howe is just sitting in his wheelchair drinking some tea, and what's his name? Wallace. He inquires about the posting, the listing, whatever you call it, when you staple something to a bathroom stall. They get to talking, and Wallace explains what he does for a living, and then he explains the concept of a podcast, which is pretty realistic because Hal looks to be in his late 60s, early 70s. Hal starts to talk about some of his experiences in life. Like, he's met Hemingway, he's traveled, and I could see him bullshitting, but at the same time, you do get the sense that he's lived a million lives. Anyway, Wallace finds a bone belonging to a walrus atop the fireplace, and Hal reveals that kind of it's kind of like a walrus's cock, essentially. And so, of course, Wallace decides to be a 14-year-old boy about it. He is so incredibly annoying, and I hate him. And I know it's the point to hate him, but oh my god, I hate him. I hate him a lot. Al reveals that he has met a walrus. He was once shipwrecked, and a walrus is what saved him. He named the walrus Mr. Tusk after Mr. Tuskegee, a man from his childhood who he felt safe with. He was a janitor. And you get the sense that feeling safe with an adult is not something that happened often for him in his childhood. Quickly, we see also that Wallace is starting to become inebriated, and after the story, he passes out. We see him talking to Allie. He blames the fact that he can't bring her to Canada on Teddy. Put a pin in that. And Allie says that she doesn't want him to interview this kid at all because basically they're going to just be making fun of him. And the old Wallace wouldn't have done this. The old Wallace was a softie. He was geeky, he was sweet, and Wallace says that, being this horrible asshole is what made him successful. He's not going to be anything if he isn't this. Which a lot of people, I don't know what it is about the time that this movie was made, but a lot of people did have that thought that, the best way to be successful in comedy was to just be such an ass to everyone. It's this movie is definitely a product of the time. Wallace wakes up in a wheelchair while Hal is polishing a bone. Hal reveals that Wallace was bitten by a brown recluse, and brown recluses are not native to Canada, nor would they survive the winter here. I mean, unless, obviously, they were being cared for by someone. For the animals that the brown recluse usually goes after, it mummifies them, and a brown recluse will also typically they'll eat living or dead bugs, usually. When it comes to humans, it's unlikely to just walk up and bite you. Usually, if it sees a human, it's going to run away. But one thing that is accurate is that they do come out at night. They'll usually hide in tiny, dark crevices, and then at nighttime they'll come out and they'll feed on bugs and such. They're kind of ugly. I love spiders personally. I like big tarantulas. Like I'd like to have a Goliath ball eater. That's my favorite spider. I don't know if it's technically a spider though. I don't think it is actually, but like that type of thing. Yeah, I like the real big ones. Those make me happy. They're cute. Except a lot of tarantulas, when they get stressed out, their little hairs can stick into you and irritate your skin. And that's no good. Hollis says that he can't feel his legs, and Hal blames that on the spinal injection. I forget the actual terminology he used. I am not a doctor. I'm just a boy on a bed. Anyway, he then explains what the poison did. If you get bitten by something and it fucks you up, it is not because of poison. It is because of venom. Venom. You can drink venom unless you have lesions inside you. And unless it's also poisonous. Poison, you drink it and then you die. If a spider is poisonous, it biting you is probably fine. What you don't want to do is eat it. A brown recluse, as far as I know, is not poison. You can probably eat it and be fine, but don't. It even if anyway, I'm rambling. It really annoys me when people make that mistake. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that tick me off. It bothers me, especially with Hal, because he does strike me as someone who is very educated. But I'm being a dick now. So, moving on. Hal eventually reveals that drastic measures had to be taken, and so it is revealed that Wallace lost one of his legs, and of course, he starts freaking out because what else are you gonna do? Later at dinner, Hal is being absolutely insufferable, the most annoying person, and Wallace begins to catch on that there was no spider. Like he's just being held hostage here, and he wants to know why. And they have an argument, and at the peak of this, Hal stands up from his wheelchair and goes over to smack him. And granted, not everyone in a wheelchair needs it 24/7, but that is like a jarring thing because, like, for a fact that your boy just assumed that the man was paralyzed. Anyway, so Wallace asks basically, what are you gonna do? And Hal reveals that he is going to turn Wallace into a walrus. And he asks why. And Hal reveals the obvious.
It's all a little older than the Sphinx. To answer the question, which is thickest since we crawled from this earth and stood erect in the sun. Is man, indeed, a walrus at heart?
We cut to Allie talking to a man that we basically have it confirmed that she's sleeping with. She's cheating on Wallace. And she's talking about how basically she knows that he is cheating on her. And she is in this horrible dilemma where she can't leave because she does love him, but she also constantly feels degraded by him because of the cheating and just the way he treats her. And then she also relies on this man who makes her feel human again. And this scene is honestly heartbreaking. She even says that she's glad her father is dead so he wouldn't have to see her like this, which is so painful. She is a very good actress. We cut to the tail end of a podcast episode while they're just wrapping everything up. Wallace and Teddy are later talking about Wallace's trip to Canada. He's very thankful that Teddy is going to take Allie off his hands. So, yeah, we basically know at this point that, yeah, she's with Teddy, and it's essentially Wallace's fault. You got cheated on because of what you did. You stupid. And we also learn that Teddy does legitimately appreciate her. Like, he does speak up against the way that Wallace treats her. I mean, not enough to stop being his friend. Can you shut up, phone? I don't like it. So, like, I still wouldn't consider it a healthy relationship. I wouldn't trust anyone who's friends with someone like that. Honestly, if all the Wallace bullshit didn't happen, then this movie could be an interesting drama of, like, a love triangle. That would have been interesting. But we're gonna see how that goes in a second. Anywho, Allie calls Wallace, and Wallace hears the phone. Earlier, he was told that the phone was smashed to bits, which I don't know why Hal even held on to it. It's only, it's not gonna help you. So why? Wallace hears the phone ring from Allie, and he rushes to go get it, but she hangs up before he can say anything. So he leaves a voice message. In this, he's incredibly apologetic. He's in tears. He's terrified. As Allie is walking away from the phone, she expresses to Teddy that she's really worried about Wallace. He hasn't said anything to her in days. Wallace calls Teddy next, and I don't know why he's not calling the police. But anyway, he calls Teddy next and explains everything, and he's just as terrified. But this time, he gets interrupted by a little bonk on the head. And Allie, we got to Allie going to go brush her teeth. I think she's in a shot that says, okay, the podcast is called The Not See Party. I think that she's in a shot that says Not See Lover. Hal begins the surgery while talking about his childhood. His parents were brutally murdered in front of him, and so he was sent to an orphanage. This sparked his disdain for man because he suffered nothing but intense trauma until he got out and fled Canada. On the way to Canada, Allie is calling the cops, but there is an issue.
Yes, there are some recent pictures up on the website. It's naziparty.com. Spell it, spell it. Hello? Hello? They fucking hung up.
A hilarious issue. We finish the surgery back at the mansion, and we see the reveal of Wallace, the Wailing Walrus. I'm just gonna let you look at it. Just take it in. Just see it. All of it. Feel it. Feel the walrus. See the walrus within the walrus. Soak it all in. This is happening. Hal is justifying his actions to Wallace with the idea that mankind isn't worth being a part of. The humans are selfish, they're worthless, they're disgusting, they're evil. And while we get this monologue, we see Allie and Teddy looking everywhere around Manitoba for Wallace, and this is a genuinely, unironically, very good scene. The juxtaposition is really, really good. During a swimming lesson, Wallace sees another dead walrus in the bottom of the pool, and he is mostly decayed. Did I mention that Ellie and Teddy talked to a cop who gave them the number to an investigator? Well, that happened. Ellie and Teddy later talked to the investigator. He is very funny. Guy Lapointe is the name of the investigator, and he tells the two what he knows. After Guy reveals that he is an absolute whack job, Teddy suggests that maybe they should go see someone else.
Someone else.
I think that that's a very good idea for you to go and talk to someone else, Mr. Big Bear riding a bulldozer. Or maybe you could just firm your fucking boosh for 1 second and listen to Guy Lapointe.
Guy reveals that he has met this serial killer, and that is what haunts him because he knows that while he was talking to the serial killer, the man he was trying to save was in that house, which that would have to be something that would stay with you for a very long time. We also see that Hal's MO hasn't changed. He is still just putting his address up on random bathroom stalls, and he is still very obsessed with the brown recluse. He is just infatuated with those little guys that don't exist in Canada. And he also somehow doesn't know that they're not poisonous. But anyway, Hal questions Tusk on why he even wants to be human, because again, Hal is a misanthropist of the highest degree. Anyway, Hal feeds Wallace a fish, and Wallace eats it, and I hate to be that person but I was also this person drawing Human Centipede. If he's eating raw fish, he's not living long. Like, you will die so easily. This isn't sushi, where it's like meticulously prepared and people know what they're doing. Hal is just grabbing random fish. On the road, Guy says that the person who knows him best should know if he made any stops, and Allie says that Wallace liked these really big sugary drinks, and so he probably stopped by a gas station. And so they do stop by a gas station that Wallace stopped by, and they get the pad that Wallace wrote down Howard's fucking address on. And now I realize that him coming at night, yeah, he actually called before he came. But I stand on the fact that calling someone at night anyway still makes you a dick. That doesn't excuse him being turned into a walrus, but he is a dick. Anyway, Guy does that pencil thing, and so they find the address of Howard Howe. And luckily, even though this was like maybe 2 weeks after the 3 days in which Wallace was missing, no one wrote anything else down on the pad. But anywho, Hal reveals that he ate the first Mr. Tusk for sustenance, and just as he was eating him, rescue arrived, and so he has regretted what he did all of this time. We also see in this scene that his disdain for mankind does extend to himself. Anyway, the reason he is creating a walrus is so that the new Mr. Tusk will have a fighting chance. He will be able to kill him. On the way to the house, the gang finds Wallace's vehicle abandoned in a lake. Guy gives them guns, and they head to the mansion while Howard and Tusk are fighting to the death.
You lasted longer than the rest. You would kill me if you could. You want to. Your survival instincts have kicked in. But so help me!
That's cheating. Ellie and Teddy get into the aquarium just as Wallace is stabbing Hal to death with his tusks. And Hal is very proud of him at this. Guy Lapointe makes he almost goes through with shooting Wallace, which would have been way nicer than what Allie and Teddy decide to do, which is put him in a fucking zoo. This movie is good if you have an odd, fucked up sense of humor. And again, it would have been ruined if Wallace wasn't such a prick. Speaking of ruining the movie, this would have absolutely made the movie completely not funny and just odd and uncomfortable to watch, but they say he wasn't fucking the walrus.
Were any of them sexually?
Oh, no, he doesn't touch them like that. He butchers them, amputates limbs, cuts out tongues. But, he don't do nothing sexy with them, you know.
I don't want him to fuck the walrus. But he was totally fucking the walrus. I don't believe you that he wasn't fucking the walrus. He was fucking the walrus. That's exactly what happened. And you can say that didn't happen all you want. I don't believe you. He fucked the walrus.